The Expert and Citizen Assessment of Science and Technology Network is a network of institutions working together to try to consult the public about issues that lie at the intersection of science and society.
Ecast is an idea that has manifested into a network of capacities. We have a component that's the university, which provides the scholarship, the understanding, the training, the history. Then we have the science communicators, science engagement people, that's the museums. And then we have nonpartisan policy think tanks like the Woodrow Wilson Center, who provide that link to policy because we just don't want to engage and educate, we also want to inform and help make better decisions.
I think it's important that Ecast exists because it brings together scientists and citizens to talk about some of the most pressing issues today in society. For those of us who develop technology, we don't always foresee what some of the problems could be, but we also don't know all of the ways that people might use it.
This is important because we're, living in a time when there are so many questions that are informed by science but can't be answered by science alone. Should we do human genome editing? How should we combat climate change? Should we, incentivize the use of autonomous vehicles? These are all questions that have science in them but cannot be answered by science alone. They need values and perspectives from ordinary and everyday community members. And Ecast is an attempt to try to consult those people and get their values into decision making. I think the idea of participatory technology assessment is a truly democratic idea. It's an effort to actually have people look at what decisions we make in light of what we think we know in science and what we know science cannot answer. It's really important to do this in a way that makes clear why people should participate, why we're listening to their ideas, and why their values and their knowledge are essential for enriching decision making.
It immediately creates a social atmosphere where people feel comfortable exchanging ideas, deliberating on topics. They don't realize they're learning. They come to an event, they deliberate on an issue, and they are activated on that issue. And so that creates an opportunity for doing a lot more. So if you're a local government and you're trying to get engagement on a particular issue, this method gets activation among citizens. And that's very, very powerful.
The idea of doing this allows people to have a voice as the technologies unfold, rather than having to respond and unilaterally deal with the ramifications of these technologies before they're consulted.
So the participatory technology assessment that we see is a way to complement existing science policy, education, engagement, decision making.
It's really important to elicit perspectives from diverse publics, communities that may bring different ideas and perspectives to these kinds of issues at the intersection of science and society. First of all, these issues impact everyone, and they impact people disproportionately.
There may be barriers that are social and cultural and historical that we don't understand if we're just looking through an individual set of expertise.
So embedding ways of authentically engaging and looking for those barriers and listening to when they exist and spending the time to do something to address those barriers is probably the most important work that we can do.
Second, there are communities that currently are being left out of decision making. What we need to do for this really to be a democratizing force in shaping science policy is come up with a good way of inviting everyone. Come up with a way where people understand and trust these processes, even if they don't trust science itself.
Now the big challenge is to get it to the community level. And that is where we need more innovation, more methods, I think, to how do we kind of elevate those voices who are going to be actually impacted by the decisions we are making.
I think one of the keys to operationalizing the outcomes from Ecast forums is having people in the room who are ready to take those outcomes to policymakers, to community leaders, to scientists at research institutions, and who are inspired to continue that dialogue into the future.
demonstrating its ability to help contribute to those outcomes, I think, is the kind of key thing that Ecast needs to do to help operationalize what they do in more and more places.
I want people to be able to feel free to learn and to grow their passions and have that opportunity to make an impact and to assert their concerns and their ideas related to science and technology. I think it's just critical to give people that opportunity to have a voice on things that affect them.
No one has a single set of problems. Often as federal agencies, our job is to address individual problems, but everyone lives in a complex, multi-dimensional environment. And I think it's dependent upon us as federal stewards to ensure that our framing is continually affected by that wider lens, no matter what our individual issue is.
I hope that in the next decade, Ecast continues to expand its reach, to bring in new groups from the public, to really broker conversations about the ways that science and technology can help us improve society and improve the outcomes for all of the people that live together here.
So I envision an idea for people to get together and create the next research agenda, the next funding agenda. What should science make and why? What do they want to see it create and why is that important to them? Then scientists can make what people think is most essential for our society.
So building this capacity, so instead of us coming up with a topic or a forum or the expertise, empower the communities to pick their own topic, to pick their own experts.
I guess my aspiration would be for agencies to really think about who can be impacted by this and to make sure that they get those views upstream, not sharing after the fact, but really thinking ahead of what the consequences could be for different parts of the public.
If we give people an opportunity to think carefully about what they would like to see science build for them and how to adequately and equitably distribute the products of science and technology, perhaps people can dream together about what we can make.